2 of NB to AC. I am cruising down I-70 into Cincinnati. I drove across the Mississippi River right before I started rolling video, and I'm kind of mad at myself for not getting that, because it's like, wow, you know, I just drove my car over the Mississippi River. As a guy who's lived his entire life on the West Coast, that's never really something I thought I would say, but it was a cool moment nonetheless. I'm heading in to Cincinnati. I believe the name of the casino is now different from when I played there back in 2018. I had an unbelievable session the last time I played there. The action was great. So, on a trip where things are not going great for me poker-wise throughout the first several sessions, let's hope that changes tonight. Just a couple of trucks on Interstate 70 outside of what is known as the Queen City. My guess is Hard Rock Cincinnati is always busy on Saturday nights. But on Saturday nights after Reds games, which are right next door, and apparently the team has won like 12 in a row going into this, it is an absolute zoo on those days. The lines at the restaurants were an hour long. The pit was jammed full, and nearly every slot machine in the house was getting used. But what there was not a huge demand for was $5 blind poker. A look at the board on that night showed 10 1-3 games. 10 1-3s, and only one game bigger than that. Just one.
Just one?
And when I walked into the room, I'd find myself in the worst place you can be in all of poker. 5th on a 5-person list. So I'd have a lengthy wait. It was a wait that I would be making no matter what, because playing in this game on this night was one of the things on this trip I was absolutely determined to do. While I waited, I'd sign up for the Players Club and be given $10 in free play. And this is going to stun you guys, but in the 10 spins on a $1 slot machine, I hit absolutely none of them. So basically, my guess would be that there are few profitable grinders that can play here, much like my game, but certainly not many. A town with only one game above 1-3 on a Saturday night can't really sustain that many winning players. That was my thought in St. Louis. It would be pretty much impossible for any pros to play there due to the fact that 2-3 is the biggest game in town. That, in turn, would mean that it's kind of a decent place for guys who have jobs and can supplement their incomes playing poker because of the lack of sharks. Anyway, I'd finally get in the game at 10 p.m., by far the latest I've ever started a vlog, and it was right at that point that they decided to start a second game. So that was kind of tilting in and of itself. The max buy-in was stated to be $800. That's ridiculous. A room as high quality as this should definitely raise that. Also, 12.5% rake up to $6 with a $2 jackpot tax is not ideal either. But it's obviously better than some places. I'd go ahead and buy in for $1,000, hoping no one would care, and sure enough, no one did. The first hand would come when I would raise to 15 in the low jack with pocket queens. The button, who only has 350 in front of him, 3-bets, but barely. He just makes it 40. Folds back to me, and I 4-bet the queens to 120. He thinks about it for a minute and makes the call. So with 245 in, the flop comes King 5-4, 2 diamonds. Obviously not ideal, but I still figure I can get called by worse here. I bet 50. And he barely thinks about it at all before jamming all in for about 180 more. I know this is bad news. I fold the hand, and he shows King-Queen offsuit. Pretty much a summation of how this trip has been going up to this point. Then, basically the same thing happened on a different hand. I 3-bet 9s and get one color en route to an ace-high flop. I would bet it small, and I would fold to a check raise and get shown an ace. I didn't get it on camera, but I then ended up running a 3-street bluff based on me picking up a tell on the flop from a guy who clearly wasn't a super serious player. My $175 river bet took the pot down after he admitted to missing his flush draw. The tell was pretty simple. He had an outward reaction of just not loving the board, and sure enough, there was some truth to that. We get a limp fest, so I raised to 50 with Queen Jack of Spades. Folds to the big blind, who makes it 200, and that was the end of that adventure. I would raise pocket jacks, getting 2 callers, and once again, would get a lousy flop with an ace coming out there. Fortunately, one player bet, and another called him, so it allowed for an easy fold, with ace-8 offsuit, taking that pot down. So, a lot of hands are being played in this game. We get an under-the-gun limp and a raise to 20 under-the-gun 1. Hijack calls, and I'm in the big blind with Queen 7 of spades, and make the call as well. So with 80 in, the flop is Queen 9-4 2 spades, giving me a pair and a flush draw. I bet right out with it here. I make it 35, both under the gun, and +1 make the call. So with 185 in, the turn is the 3 of spades, giving me the flush. I bet 75 this time, and once again, both call. With 335 in, the river is the ace of diamonds. Obviously, it's a great card if I'm up against ace-queen, but I still felt the most likely hands that could pay me off here were hands like king-queen. Obviously, it'd be nice to be against bigger than that, but I didn't see it being all that common. So I wanted to size down to try to get paid off by those type of hands. As it would turn out, I would be against a hand better than ace-queen here. I bet 150. Under the gun thinks about it for quite a while. He's a viewer of this vlog, so he seemed resigned to the fact that I wasn't going to be bluffing into 3 players hardly ever. But he said that he still had to call. Under the gun 1 folds, so we have a pot of $635, which I would win against a set of 4s. Obviously, he could have raised flop, but in his defense, I wasn't all that likely to fold, and he was aware of that. We then get an under the gun open to 20, and 1 call. I have pocket kings on the button and raised to 60. Folds back to under the gun, who comes right back over the top, 4-betting it to 200, and he only has $425 behind. I'm not sure how obvious of an all-in this is, but it does seem like the standard play. You could make an argument for slow playing in this spot, but I decided to just go for it all now. And to my amazement, he doesn't even think about it before folding to my jam. This is a mid-session update. If you open a casino next to a major league ballpark, I predict that you too will make some money. With 2 games going, this one gets shorthanded. I feel like I am often the king of waiting forever to get into a game, and then it's instantaneously short. I open to 20 with pocket 9s and get 3-bet to 85 by the small blind. I make the call. And with 170 in the pot, the flop is 6-7 deuce 2 spades, giving me an overpair. And after 3-betting pre-flop, he checks the flop. Now, I just hate getting check raised here by aces or kings. It's a play that I've been seeing a lot more of lately. So I just figured I would call him down on the turn here. Instead, he doesn't bet that card either when it comes out an offsuit 3. I just bet what he made it pre-flop here, hoping that ace-king would peel and see the river. But he barely thinks about it at all before mucking the hand. I'd get into the other game after the first one broke and would immediately lose about $90 with pocket 10s, bet folding them on a Jack-4 3-3 board. It wasn't exactly a good night for my big pocket pairs. Things at that new table over the next hour could not possibly have gone much worse. 2 hands, I flopped top pair in and was outkicked on both of them. And after an unsuccessful set mining operation with pocket 7s against aces, I'd given back a lot of my winnings on the day. The good news was, I hadn't given back all of them. And after winning a few small pots on the way out the door, I would rack up and book a win. All right, it is about 1:30 a.m., wrapping up the session, booking a win of $256. Not exactly ideal, but obviously I'll take it at this point considering how this trip's gone. Tough game tonight. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. The lineup was not easy. No one was just giving money away, so I guess a win is a win. And this trip is now on to Pittsburgh.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled around, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative, I don't want to get lost in the sedative.
Cruising down I-70 in eastern Ohio, it is NV to AC. Again, my thanks to Matt from Minnesota, hooked me up with a room last night in Cincinnati. Hotel rooms are just outrageously priced these days, so that was very cool of him. And, well, here's the deal. It's Sunday afternoon, it's almost 5 o'clock. My plan was to play at Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh, but I have already done that. I don't think it's going to happen today. Not feeling it. Especially because I don't think there's going to be more than 1, 2, 2, 3 there either on a Sunday night. So I think I'm going to skip that one. I did get to play there back in 2017. That was on kind of the epic trip that my dad and I went on, where we went from Detroit to Indy to Louisville to Cincinnati to Columbus and Dayton to Pittsburgh. It was just this long trip of seeing all these different sites and things. And that was where I did a practice vlog. I remember it was 2017. I was like, I wonder if I could vlog this trip. I don't know if it actually exists anywhere or not, but I remember doing that vlog, and it helped motivate me to think, you know what, I could actually do this. Because I spent, as I've talked about before, I spent over a year debating whether or not I should actually do this. And for a variety of reasons, I really wish I had started earlier, but it was still good that I started no later than I actually did. But part of the motivation was the vlog on that trip with my dad. This drive just as boringly green as I remember it. Seems like once you get past St. Louis, the entire United States is just this one blob of lush greenness everywhere, even down to like East Texas. It's like this. And I just don't think it's very cool. You know, I like the desert scenery of Arizona and Nevada more than this. It just stands out to me more, like the Joshua trees and the sagebrush. I always think is more visually interesting, but it really just shows how, you know, the word drought isn't even in anyone's vocabulary that lives back here. It just rains all the time. Don't have to worry about that in this part of the country. So again, I'm going to skip Pittsburgh in terms of playing poker. I'm going to stay the night there, but not going to play. And then I'm going to just get on to Atlantic City. I think I have to stay 2 nights in Atlantic City. I mean, the trip is called NV to AC, for God's sake. So I'm going to stay 2 nights there. Going to play at the Borgata, and then make what is going to be an extremely long journey home. But that's not for over a week. Alright, I am here on the site of one of the greatest plays in the history of the NFL, the Immaculate Reception, Pittsburgh Steelers, 1972 against the Raiders. And those that know me know that my knowledge of NFL history knows no bounds. It's actually embarrassing how much I know, in all honesty. That's because I was raised not watching SpongeBob SquarePants. I was raised watching Steve Sable on NFL Films VHS tapes, and I still love everything that they did with the Immaculate Reception, including the interview that Phil Villapiano, the Raider great, gave them, when he said, had I been as lazy as Franco, that ball would have come to me at waist high. I shoot over, I still can make a play. Instead, McMakin, their tight end, no one ever remember, dives right in the back of my legs. Biggest clip ever, no clip called. I remember just laying on the field seeing Franco run down the sideline. I just could not believe what happened.
Hello everyone, Bugsy here in Reno, stepping in for my man Ben, who's cruising this great country. Once again, it's my pleasure to bring you Kayla's Corner.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Kayla's Corner. Today I'm going to be acknowledging people's questions on why I chose camping over a 5-star hotel. And however the luxury that a 5-star hotel provides, camping is so much more nurturing to my soul. I love to be out by the water, I love to be amongst the trees, and who wouldn't love feeling the warm sunshine on their skin? And so there's so many wonderful things that camping offers. You really get to see the land, you get to be immersed in it, and you get to be appreciating it. There's so many diverse sceneries, landscapes, and so I just want to explore it all and appreciate it. So you might as well go out and get camping, guys.
All right, charging up in Pennsylvania. First of all, shout out to the old school Pizza Huts. I haven't seen one of those in years, and I'm here for it, by the way. Second of all, I have never been inside of a Perkins in my life. The only thing I know for sure is that Tiger Woods was once inside one of the employees.